then how did you fill that gap of technical skills that you were looking for, right? How, since because a lot of veterans are like one of the things we do, we help veterans are in the CPSM certified professional supply management.
Hmm.
The Army pays for that certification, which gives them that stamp that they know these skills. But still, there's a gap that maybe doesn't show up on the resume. And then they join the organization, and then realizing there's a longer term play, you need this person to get technically competent as quickly as possible. So how do you do the crash course to get the competence up? And I say this for a couple of reasons. One, when my experience when I came out was nobody would hire me because I think I was overqualified or I didn't, and it's my fault, not their fault. It's my fault because I didn't properly articulate my value on a resume to get the interview and do that. So I had a lot of skills, a lot of education, I had a certification, all kinds of things, but it wasn't there. But then on the hiring manager side, they weren't necessarily open to training me. They just wanted the stamp, okay, this guy can do it, right? His resume matches all the skills and he can get this done. And just had they taken a moment, a chance, a 3 month, 6 month period of, hey, we're going to bring you in, we're going to teach you, it would have been, I wouldn't be here today, which so it's kind of a good thing, right? I'd be somewhere else. But, at the same time, it's like that ability to recognize the character, but then fill the gap with technical skills. How did you do that technical skill gap?
Well, humorously, we didn't in the beginning, because by the time Bill was hired, we were trying to stand up our first production operation, and the climbing of that mountain, while also trying to hand off the supply chain, was too tall for our small team. So Bill got shafted a little bit on the expectation. He just joined the team. There's a little bit of orientation, and it's like, hey, Bill, we're going to come back to that supply chain stuff. Right now, we are urgently trying to ramp up our capacity, and we're going to go start an operation, and I want you to be in charge of that. He hadn't necessarily done all of the steps in that before, but there was enough of his experience that was directly applicable to this case. I will hold the fort down on supply chain until that engine is up and running, and then we will come back and do a knowledge transfer to where you will be taking over certain things on a daily and weekly basis. And then with time, I'm literally weaning myself away from that process and all the things I was doing to try to keep a handle on the company supply chain that honestly at this point, because this is kind of at the beginning of the pandemic, was already like out of control. Like we had sold out of a lot of stuff. The demand for our product was really sky high, and we were trying to quadruple our throughput in operations on both in-housing some activities and also getting some of our vendors to ramp up as well and securing critical spares. There's just a lot of bullets whizzing past us, so to speak. So for us, it was a prioritization. We need our capacity increase. You're going to make that happen. I'm going to make sure that you don't fail. And when it is up and running, it's going to be a commercial for Bill Holmes throughout the
Nice.
organization. Okay. And when that happens, you will have instant credibility with a number of folks throughout the organization where you will have learned by doing. It will make sure that it's putting the points on the scoreboard. There is a win, and that's going to pave the road for you to take on other types of challenges throughout the company. We actually did theorize we cannot afford to screw this up because there may be a need where we need to have a larger investment in us owning and operating our own full warehousing operation, because at this point we had outsourced it. And that's a really big investment for our company. So if we do that, there's going to be a lot of doubt, a lot of uncertainty, but most of that can be squashed by us being able to refer to, hey, we've already done this before at a smaller scale, and look at how well it ran. So that was literally the vision that we were talking about 2 years before we actually need to pull that lever and make the other investment actually happen. But it was all almost like predicted. Like, you want to make sure that you're always thinking as a leader long term. What are the plays that we can do? What are the maneuvers that we can make? What is the talent that you need to have on your team? Because you are inviting them to join your company on a mission. And it's not just about the right now, it's about how are we going to be traveling along to achieve that mission in the future. And challenge is just a piece of that. So, but you don't want to like have it the mountain for them to climb to be so extreme that they can't succeed. So I think when I told them like I'm going to make sure that you don't fail, that took maybe a little bit of edge off of him, and it allowed him to feel more comfortable in taking a lot more chances, engaging in more risk, making more decisions, all of which you want to have your team doing to the point where you're not even needed as much anymore because the engine is just running so well. That's when you start to get really proud.